All right, creators, we're back. Are you ready for some weird shit?
Looking forward to this one.
Ryan, we talked about this, but I'm going to ask you for everyone's benefit. Are you familiar with what Diggnation is?
I am now. Thank you for introducing me to it.
Maybe you can explain a little bit what it is for a new person.
So, we're going to be having a drink, maybe two, maybe three, and reacting to different content or stories that the other one brought for us to enjoy, and discussing it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Diggnation was a show, podcast a long time ago, back when I was living in Hawaii, that had a major impact on me. It was these two guys, Kevin Rose and Alex Albrecht. They are two people who both worked and were really familiar with Brian Brushwood, so they're in that family. And it was a kind of like early days of podcasting and video in general. And, I definitely didn't fit in very well in Hawaii, being like, this tall white guy and everything. And this was kind of my surrogate friends, where it was one part, the content they would get into. It was a way of them promoting their news website. So it made sense for an overlap. But the major value of the episode was just like the two guys laughing together and joking. And it was kind of like, oh man, these are a lot of fun. I wish I had friends like that too. When I do have friends, it would be nice if we could have better, more entertaining conversations instead of just basically talking about sports stats or something like that. And, in hindsight, later on, I learned that Alex actually works as a professional comedian, has studied like improv comedy for like thousands and thousands of hours. So not a fair bar of comparison for hanging out with your friends. But, it definitely was something that really started me many years ago with the inspiration for I would love to do something in front of the camera and be sharing this kind of stuff. Both skill-wise and, bravery-wise, I was miles away from it back then, but it was a seed that got planted.
Man, it is a great goal to aspire to, and I think you and I, we like to laugh, we like to have a drink, and hopefully you guys will find us entertaining today. We'll see.
Yeah. So we got inspired to do this again. Diggnation, these guys, they've already like made millions of dollars doing, entrepreneur stuff, but they just decided to like reboot, do like one episode for funsies, and they had fun doing it. So now they did a second episode. I was watching like, you know what? Like we're doing a lot of great stuff together, Ryan. And like, let's give this a try, I'm learning a whole lot working with you, just trying very, very different things, and each completely out of the box thing I learned a lot from. Like, here's another option we can give a shot to. So the basics how it's going to work is we each have like an article or a video that the other one hasn't seen yet. We're going to introduce it to him, chat a little bit about it. And then after we go through, two each, we're going to talk a little bit about our topic of the day, and we'll have a little mix of everything for us today.
All right.
So it's tradition. We're going to at least drink something. I am still like hardcore productivity, trying to have as many hours in the day for writing and studying and doing all this work, and not drinking as much alcohol lately. So to prepare, I did plan for this. I went down to this shop in the Sylvan Park area of Nashville, H&R, and got a coffee with CBD in it. Like CBD, caffeine, but somehow I put them together. I'm like, yeah. But it wears off after a couple hours. I'm not drunk the whole day, and the next day I'm not hungover. So, I can be doing some work this evening. That's what I'm going to drink.
Hey, great choice. I have a nice German Oktoberfest beer from Hollander here that I am definitely going to enjoy.
All right, brother. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Let's get started. So there'll be a little technical effort to get the video and audio sharing and everything, but I think we got some good stuff lined up for today. I am going to enable screen share for... There you go. Show notes. Rip off Diggnation, episode 28. Okay. Give a shout, Ryan, if you don't hear the sound. But if you do, I'm just going to assume everything's going fine and we'll get going.
Sounds
This
good.
is a Instagram reel from Anthony Gallo. He is the guy who runs that, 14-day filmmaker course that I really got that first real fire of learning about video and creating.
I remember
And also
the
a great
name.
guy. Tell me what you think.
We just got in a crazy accident.
Okay.
We were going through an intersection and a car blew a red light and hit us
Oh, shit.
absolutely head on. Never been in an accident like that before. Both Courtney and I are okay. There's a woman in another car who's got hit pretty hard in the face. It was a three-way collision. A guy just blew through a red light. Oh man, I don't know. I think the Tesla legit just like saved us. That's insane. No, I'm just videoing it.
That was like insane.
If we hadn't slowed down to let the motorcycle go, we would have gotten hit straight on. Oh my God, that is crazy. All right, though, we should back up from the car. That's insane.
Okay, the context of this, though, is immediately after he gets hit, first thing, phone out, we're recording this shit. And the second thing, when they pan over to his fiance, you see she's wearing like his company logo from contentcreators.com.
Oh, my.
Everybody's safe, but the whole thing is like, this is so completely legitimate who he is. It's like, there's no faking. Like, panic situation, like, I like recording stuff. This is what I love.
Honey, go throw on that jacket.
I think that's what she was wearing. I think that's what she's doing 24/7.
Quite possibly. Man, that is terrifying that happened, but hey, shock value is great for content, I guess.
That's the point, too. I was just thinking how, there's a lot of shock content out there, but there's a lot of effort you can put into kind of putting on a persona, or you have to do this for work. But in situations like this, kind of like just your natural who you are, it's kind of just going to show through. And that was one of my favorite things about working with him, doing his QA calls, where it was really obvious that this is sincerely who he is. One of his things that he was talk about is whenever he travels, some people would actually criticize him for spending so much time taking videos. Like, you traveled here to see the place, not to make videos. You just do that at home. It's like, artists will go to a famous place to sit all day and just paint it. And this is my version of painting. This is what I like doing,
Absolutely. It's definitely part of who you are, is that creative person and wanting to make something of it. Don't get mad at him for that.
So that's one of my favorite parts about him as a person. And one of the biggest things I got out of the class is it was inspiring, having that, energy shared with us, and kind of, I think it sparked other people to be that way as well. And, I don't think this was a good example of, this is just who he is, even if he wasn't going to, he's not going to make money off that video. That's not for attention or value. He's just, if anything's happening, this is his reflex. He likes to record it.
That is impressive, and probably helps with insurance claims, I would imagine.
Oh, the poor Tesla, though. Holy crap, look at this.
Oh. Man, I would be nervous standing next to a crashed Tesla.
Oh, good point. Like the battery?
Yeah, all it takes is a little bit of oxygen getting to that lithium battery, and you've got a big fire.
Do they keep them in the front or the back? Because
I do not know.
All right, when I'm going home tonight, I'm going to start looking up Tesla fires.
Still, not good, and glad everyone's okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I sounded a little cold, but I just assumed that everyone else is going to handle like, hey, are you okay? And like, we're glad you're alive. Like, yes, I feel the same way, but that's definitely already said. Like, this is kind of cool that you're just, really into this so much, and still. Another way of looking at it is like, if he's popping out his phone and recording something, he's probably going to be fine, and that that makes me feel like, all right, things are going to be okay.
That's a good point as well, and like you said, it's really cool that he has this almost like knee-jerk reaction of something happens, let's pull out our camera, let's record it, we know that we can use this for something.
Yeah. I hope to be someone who, when we do this art and creative stuff, it's something that I want to do, and the motivation is because I want to instead of I feel I have to. And that's something that's part of the dream. That's really great.
Honestly, also impressive that he found a woman who, they get into a car crash, he pulls out his phone and starts recording, and she's not upset with him, like, put your phone down, come help me, make sure everything's okay. She's just rolling with it.
Oh Lord! Like in the behind the scenes, you see during the course, like it's so clear that she's been knee deep in that water for so long. It's
She's
like
used
that.
to it.
It's that movie. I can remember the actors in it, but this guy's just obsessed with baseball, and the lady's like, "That's our wedding day." It's like, "Yep. Well, you're coming to the baseball game." It's like, "Well, I knew this is who you were, so like we're going to the baseball game." It's not like it was a secret.
Yeah, I mean, hey, again, good for him. They seem like they're going to be well together.
Yeah, good point. Like they know what each other is like, and they seem to be happy with that, and it's kind of great. They make me smile.
Very
All
good.
right, let's move on. So Ryan, do we need any like introduction to understand this, or should we just pop it in? Walk me through this one.
Start with the sheep one.
Okay, do the second one first.
Yep.
All right, I'm copying it.
This is just something where, of course, it pops up on my feed. So basically, on the small island of Faroe Island, there wasn't any Google Maps representation because there's barely any roads. Why would you send a car to go map it? And how do you map the places that you can't reach with a car? So someone got fed up with that, wanted to be on Google Maps, and made a harness to attach to goats or lambs, whichever one it is, and just let them roam around the island, mapping it for them.
So should I start it now?
Please do.
Faroe Islands were initially excluded from Google Street View. One woman had the perfect solution for a place that has more sheep than people. She started Sheep View 360, turning sheep into photographers to make sure that her home received the online representation that it deserved. The Faroe Islands have a population of around 50,000 people and around 80,000 sheep, most of which are free roaming and therefore cover a lot of ground each day. Working with the Faroe Islands Tourism Board, Durita had the idea to attach 360 cameras to some of them, using custom harnesses with solar charging panels on them to make sure that the cameras would stay charged all day. The cameras took one photo per minute, along with GPS data, allowing her to upload them to Google Street View at the end of each day. The sheep helped capture footage of remote and rugged areas that even Google's cars wouldn't be able to reach. And the Sheep View 360 project quickly gained international attention. When Google caught wind of it, they loaned some of their official Street View equipment to the islands. Soon, in addition to the sheep, locals were carrying around cameras on horses, skateboards, and even wheelbarrows. It wasn't long before all of the Faroe Islands were mapped. Ultimately, Sheep View 360 not only put the Faroe Islands on the digital map, it also encouraged people to get out and about together, building community in the process. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day. When the Faroe Islands were initially...
That is brilliant.
I mean, come on. There's more sheep than people. Let's put them to work. It's just...
Man, now I want to go out there. I don't want to meet celebrities. I want to meet those sheep.
I mean, if you saw just... You didn't know. You were one of the, 50,000 people to the 80,000 sheep. And you just see a sheep roam over the hill with a damn 360 camera and a solar panel on his back. What are you thinking at that point?
I'm pretty comfortable with stuff like that, but I would definitely, I got to check this out. Where's this going?
I'm following that sheep. I mean, either that or I'm getting a new 360 camera.
Just take it off it. Suddenly it's like your little show and everything.
Oh, man, I just thought that was such a brilliant low-tech solution for a stupid problem.
Around here, I see on the shore banks of the Cumberland, they'll have the goats to eat the grass and all that stuff.
Sure.
Next logical step, like throw some cameras on them. I
mean, why not? Hell, throw a live feed up. It's amazing what people will watch.
Yeah, I want a live feed. when I'm doing like when it's summertime and I'm doing my walks, I do them inside on a treadmill and I watch some kind of like nature video. If it was just like the sheep of Faroe Islands, like hanging out, I'd be down for that.
Oh my God. If you could live track the sheep and just watch them graze on Faroe Island on some person's roof, that'd be amazing.
The roof one is the best. That is like all. Brilliant, man. Brilliant.
One of the other funny parts about that story is I think the reason it came up on my feed was I was getting a ton of stuff about the Faroe Islands, because that's one of the ones that Floki stopped on his journey to discovering Iceland. So I have a ton of Faroe Island stuff on my feed now.
I was already excited about it at that point, because you know how obsessed I am with like Northern Ireland and Nordic things. So like, hey, what's going on there?
I thought you would appreciate that one, my friend. It's a fun story.
But I love that part of it. That just because you were doing some creative work, it starts altering what things the world's bringing into you, and like we could go like the swoo route, but just, it influenced the Google algorithm instead of it trying to sell you batteries. It's bringing you like sheep videos from Faroe Island.
Don't get me wrong. It's trying to sell me stuff still. I still get ads for going on Antarctic exploration expeditions, whatever, because of Shackleton.
I keep sending you pirate videos.
You do. I get a lot of those too. That's also some of my favorite ones. Yeah, they're so good.
Like last week or 2 weeks ago, when my company had me out in Boston for their headquarters, I went out to Salem to kind of check that out while I was there. And there turns out to be like some good pirate history out there. The photo I sent you was, it said it's the only actual pirate coins that they've actually gotten on shore anywhere in the world. And they had those on display and everything. And a couple you could touch. But it was so fun to go through that because it's a good pirate thing. And I'm sitting there and I know more about pirates than half the tour guides there because of your podcast, I'm like, you're like, what's your favorite pirate? And some people are like, I don't know. I'm like, Captain Morgan.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Why? Because this, and this. He's like a freaking brilliant tactician. He's like the Sherlock Holmes instead of the brute. And when he wins, he just fucks off his island and makes more rum because he just wants to be left alone to like drink. And he's only like a pirate. He's a badass pirate, but that's even just like a side job that he doesn't care about, which is even more cool. And the
it's
guy's
more
like
political reasons. It's not even he wants to. It's just I don't like this government. I'm gonna steal from them.
Man, and I love that feeling because like the chain ABC, it's me. I love that feeling when I'm sitting there and I like know something and I'm fired up about it, and it kind of feels like you raise the temperature of the room. Where the tour guide's like, "Oh, this is cool," and the people are like, that's even more fun. And my friends are like, we expect you to know more crap about stuff than the tour guides, but like, just this is getting more extreme than what we're used to. And I only have that because of stuff that you've created. If it's because of the time you spent the research, the time revising it and all the dark stuff in the lonely room. Because this stuff can be hard work, that's stressful sometimes. But you powered through all that to get it done, so it actually reached exposed to the outside world, so other people could learn it and then start using it in the real world, man. Like, it's that the world gets better.
Hey, I love hearing that. And I gotta tell you, for Captain Morgan, that was one episode where it may have been hard work, but it didn't feel like it. I enjoyed every step of that one. The more I read on him, the funner it was.
Maybe I want to talk later about learning more about weaving other content together. It's so much work to make the first one. You know how much blood, sweat, and tears it was for me to like write my first bloody thing.
Yep.
But each piece becomes exponentially more value than the other. It's not like you just do this job today and then tomorrow you have to dig another ditch and dig another ditch. Making content, each one of that becomes a piece of your profile. It's like you've built a plank in the home, and eventually you start reusing them, and each one connects to each one you've already made. So like adding another neuron to your brain, it's not just one more neuron. It's a trillion more connections because you already have 99. So I'm wondering what cool stuff that you're going to create that will actually connect with that Morgan episode, remix with it, and have like more life. And I think Captain Morgan's going to come back. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not sure yet. I don't have a planned connection, but there are definitely some more stories that I need to do research on that could absolutely connect with him.
Halloween's coming up. Zombie Captain Morgan.
Oh, God.
You could do some fan fiction like Captain Morgan was never a zombie. But if he was...
You know, I was tempted to do something just stupid like that for, like, April Fools or something, and we'll see. I've got too many plans and unfortunately not enough time to hit them all in the time that I'd like to.
Know the feeling. I definitely see us getting like more skilled so it comes out in less smaller bites. I think it takes less time to get things done, but yeah, it's going to be a struggle forever, my friend.
Unfortunately, there's some things where I really can't speed it up, and the research seems to be part of it. One of the episodes I'm working on right now, I literally have my sister, who is in law school, going in databases and pulling files of lawsuits and criminal suits about this person, because they are not available to the general public.
That's cool. I mean, it's hard. I relate to that a little bit too now. I don't know if you've seen it, because I'm not sure if it's even in your interest realm, but the last video I put out was on trying to better understand the 6 fundamental values that you care about, using movies to explain them. And it was a lot of time spent having to do research on all these different movies, and yeah, that took a big chunk of time.
I remember you texting me and Corey about this, yeah.
You gave me some good examples, and I'm coming back to this again, just like with making your content, doing this research also, it doesn't just go off and vanish. That's still going to be 50 or 75% completion of something you'll do in the future. We're like, okay, I have this research, I'm just going to pull it out, and it's kind of original research that you're doing, so it gives you a huge advantage of doing something that no one else has done. But I think the first time can be hard, but I think it's going to reward you and make it easier in the future.
Oh, yes. And I mean, already there was, which one was it? It was Powers. Was it? Now I'm second guessing myself. No, it wasn't Powers. Which one was it? Shoot, it's going to come to me later. God, made the
Buchanan?
black and white whiskey. Buchanan, thank you. How he originally worked for the same whiskey company that Shackleton took with him to the Arctic. And just those weird little connections where, I already did a bunch of research about this. This is the same thing, just later on.
Yeah.
So it'll be worth it eventually. How and when, I don't know, but it all comes around.
Just don't stop, my friend.
Not
ready to move on to the next one?
Next one, let's go.
Okay, I'm going to do a better job of shutting the hell up and letting you see it first. And then we can get into what I think of the reason why I brought it after you've had a reaction. Okay.
Daniel, I saw Tua got his bell rung last night. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty shitty, Tom. My starting quarterback has CTE, and my best wide receiver has beef with the Miami police. We're 1-1, but it feels like this is going to be a long year.
Mike, I can solve your problems for you. I'm the best quarterback in NFL fucking history. I won 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots, and I even won a championship with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, but Tom, you retired a couple years ago, and you're almost 50 years old. You belong in a retirement home, not on a football field. Besides, you're too damn handsome for the NFL.
Mike, I personally have twice as many Super Bowl titles as the entire Miami Dolphins franchise. I know you went to Yale, and you know you won't win a championship with that bum Skylar Thompson.
Tom, I'm going to be real with you. You don't want to be quarterback of the Dolphins. It's a crappy fucking job. You're rich, and you have 7 Super Bowls. Why do you want to come out of retirement just to get your ass kicked by Josh Allen?
Oh. Yeah, that was real. God. All right.
You first.
Where do I begin? The writing on this is top notch. It's quick, it's witty, it's specific enough to where you know they're a real fan, but it's also things that the general public will know and understand. So you can appeal to your niche, definitely, but still get a wider piece of the cake there, too.
So I don't know if you're much of a football fan, but you seem to like find the humor in this as well.
I'm not as deep into it. I'll watch a game if it's on, but one of the downsides to being in the bartending and liquor industry was half the time I'm working a game and the TV's behind me. So unless they do a replay and people make noise, I don't get to see things.
The elephant in the room, which you didn't specifically say, is that is not real, right?
It doesn't look like it, but it's a little small on my screen to be able to tell.
Well, you definitely implied that it was written.
Yes, it seems like it's a deep fake or something, and it seems to be coming across too quick, too fast. All the lines are one-liners. It definitely feels written and produced.
Yeah, and written and produced by a fan, not by, these two people passed to their agents, passed to the NFL, and actually approved and put on television.
Oh, God, I wish that Tom Brady hired a writer and actually did this.
That's kind of shit I'm going to do if I'm ever rich and famous. It's like...
Oh, my God. I mean, why not? Yes, it's mocking him a little bit, but he's still playing up like, yes, I've got this many Super Bowl rings, I can solve all your problems. It's not making him look bad.
Yeah.
Other than, like, the retirement home part.
Well, that's my favorite kind of humor. Like, there is so much humor you can do where it doesn't actually make anyone look bad without being soft. Like, you can take jabs at people, but, like, you're such a maniac, but that actually kind of works out cool. But the point of this is, what I'm getting at is, on that, like, I think it's a shame how bad people are at being rich, and that's part of the work I want to get into, like, helping, like, people who are successful actually, like, figure out what to do with their lives. Because, like, freaking Tom Brady, this is, like, off the topic already. Dude has all the success, both financial, physical, fame, money, everything. And he's like, I don't know if my ex-wife is jealous of me enough yet, so I have to go back to work again just to try to impress her. I'm like, dude, can't you ever enjoy anything for yourself now? Like, yeah, you have access to all the wisdom possible. You could hire the best coaches in the world. You have every experience possible, and you've done all this success stuff. Like, haven't you ever reached... I'm better at this than you are right now. I'm going, well, I like this, the stuff I'm doing. Instead of, I got to do it for other people. I'm like, so...
Honestly, I think the best example of someone doing it right is probably Snoop Dogg at this point. The man's just everywhere doing wild things and enjoying it. Why not have Snoop dancing at the Olympics? Sure, it makes perfect sense. If I had that money, I'd be doing weird things like that too.
I hear Vanilla Ice works in, the East Bay of California, helping his granddad, advertising at auto store openings. He's like, whatever, it's enough to pay the bills and to help my family out. Like, I'm having a good life. Everyone, like, makes fun of me, but my day-to-day experience is awesome.
I'm at a loss for words on that. That makes no sense and complete sense at the same time.
Well, the core of this, the reason why I brought this up that I wanted to talk about, to connect this to, like, content creation, is we are rapidly getting to the point where it's going to be difficult to distinguish. Forget it. No more hedge words. We in our lives are going to see when we can't tell what's real and what's not. And this is interesting to me because I'm always bouncing between this art, content creation, and these stupid, like, philosophical, personal growth things that I want to talk about. And almost every philosopher, if you get down to what they're reading, if you, like, read some Socrates, read some Plato, some Stoicism, half it's talking about what is real, what isn't real, what if nothing is real. And it's kind of this thing that, people like Charlie Hubert getting a degree in philosophy would read a lot about it, but who fucking cares? It doesn't apply to your life at all. It's coming for us, guys. Like, this is going to be our day-to-day life experience of, so Ryan, how do we deal when nothing is actually real and you can never tell the difference? We're going to buckle up and have to, like, figure this out real fast.
Honestly, I think people are going to start gravitating towards content where there's no guessing. This is absolutely fake. We're going to make sure that people know it's not real, because that's the only thing that's going to be certain anymore.
That's an interesting point. Instead of the competition of actual reality versus fictional reality that's indistinguishable, we don't know which one's which. Like, this looks fake. So the only thing I actually know in the world is that at least I know this is fake. Everything else, I have no clue if it's actually real or not.
I mean, already I saw a video where I forget what it was, but I was thinking, all right, this looks too good to be AI. It looks not real, though. I think it's a real person with AI just editing around them and making it so that way they don't look real, but it's moving too fluidly and it feels real. It feels like there is a real person behind it, you know?
Hyper real.
It's like an augmented reality type thing where they're changing how they look, but their movement you can tell is still a person.
All right, I enjoyed that one. Let's move on to your second one.
All right, this one is a very entertaining story, and I think he is... I've seen a few of his stories. I think I've shared one or two of them with you before, but he is just such a good storyteller. He somehow makes it so casual, but it's still just sucks you in. I don't want to give you too much about the story. I'd say just listen to it.
All right, I'll go.
I have been duped. Why am I eating a banana in a parking garage while wearing a shirt covered in bananas?
Like that shirt.
That's a great question. It's also the answer to how I've been duped. Isn't this awesome to listen to me eat a banana on camera? Let me paint you a picture. I came down this morning to a bushel of bananas on the kitchen counter, and my wife, who is wearing a very similar shirt to this one, because we bought them as a joke like a decade ago. I was like, why are you wearing that? I haven't seen that in forever. And she goes, because it's National Banana Day. And I was like, hold the phone. It's what day? National Banana Day? I'm in. I'm such an idiot. I hurried upstairs and got my banana shirt, and then we took some cute pictures together. And I opened up my email, and I see this. Even my firm was pushing National Banana Day, which is incredible for me because I love any excuse to be able to do something stupid, like wear a banana shirt. Except, of course, when it is not actually National Banana Day.
Oh, no.
And your wife makes up the story and asks a colleague of yours to send an email pretending for it to be from the whole firm to the whole firm, saying it's National Banana Day just to get me to wear a banana shirt to a professional workplace. Yeah, sure, it's all in good fun, right? Until, of course, you also have to meet with a client that morning, and you show up for a 1-hour meeting in a banana shirt. They are in suits. Your coworkers are in suits. And you are in bananas. And I don't know if she planned this part, but the kicker is the client is a family that owns a series of apple orchards. It was an hour meeting, and they never once asked me about the shirt. And I think that makes it worse. Were they in on it? Are they still in on it? How deep does this go?
Oh, fuck yeah. All right. Man, I love you, man. This is so fucking perfect.
It's chef's kiss. What a great storyteller.
The unspoken part is he never mentioned the part where he tried to explain to people, I know it's a little weird, you're all in suits, but today's National Banana Day. And the fact that you're telling people it's National Banana Day when it isn't is just so much worse than everything that came before this point.
Oh, you have to imagine, like, one of his early coworkers was like, what the hell are you talking about? I didn't get that email. You're like, what do you mean?
That brings it to full-on insano person.
Just... Also, props to his wife for setting that up. That is spectacular, just stupid, funny, not gonna mess with anything, but what a great prank.
Yeah, like hell yeah. There's so many directions I want to go with this. So before I get into the writing part, like that, I love so much. Like relationships, I just see so much. It's just real transactional, where the sum of the two parts is actually less than they were apart. Like, oh, you're gonna give me money. Like, oh, okay, well then I'm gonna like give you status or sex, and like neither was actually really like adding to each other's lives. It's just like a business customer. But this is what relationships are supposed to be, where no discussion about like kids or money or everything. That having her in his life has added extra joy. Like he'd have a good day, be financially fun. He probably has a lot of good jokes. He seems like a really fun guy, but she's making it even more in fun. Zero cost, just using her mind and her heart and put the effort into it. Like that is romantic as hell.
Absolutely. That is honestly true love at that point. Just doing subtle things to mess with each other and make each other smile.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Getting to the writing part, though, this is perfect timing. I want to specifically talk about this type of thing. I'm really diving deep into the writing stuff, and there's a whole fire I can get into it. Anytime you pick a skill, you're going to get like the people focused only laser on that one thing, and talking about taking writing and doing everything with writing. But there are things you can't do with writing. And that's where I think the real freaking magic comes in. The speakers, they talk about what we can do with speaking. The writers talk about what we can do with writing. And when you weave those together, this freaking ninja magic happens. I was like looking for the clock. This guy at the beginning, how long before he said anything? It was just stalling, that absolutely would just by the writing would have killed it. You would have clicked off. But his speaking was so interesting. It carried it. And it's harder to put into words how or why that was interesting and fun and kept us going and actually was adding value, which is why it's hard to teach other people, which it makes it even more of a rare and valuable skill. But yeah, like, dude, we're at this point. Let's just do this part again. The intro.
And duped. Why am I eating a banana in a parking garage while wearing a shirt covered in bananas? That's a great question. It's all
okay. Hook, and then we understood the hook. Okay, he didn't give information about hooks, get attention, la la. But then there's this period where it's just him just being excited, and that carries it just from his enthusiasm.
Also the answer to how I've been duped. Isn't this awesome to listen to me eat a banana on camera?
Yeah, that has nothing.
Let me paint you a picture. I came down this morning.
It's just off the character of, he's not like, yeah, so, isn't it great listening to the banana and I've been duped? And he's like, I've been duped. Isn't it interesting here? Like the melody's different, the tone's different, it's like the musicality of speech is,
it doesn't feel like a professional speaker talking at an assembly. It talks like sitting down with a friend, catching up, and he's just like, man, you'll never believe what happened. I'm wearing a banana shirt and eating a banana right now because of, god damn it.
Like, I will tell you flat out, most people's friends do not talk that fluidly or interesting, even when that's who they sincerely are. That Miles Davis quote of it takes a lot of practice to learn how to sound like yourself.
He's an artist at it. He truly is. There's no other way to put it.
I love that stuff. And I'm going to say this again. So much of this stuff will have huge value in your personal life, which is why I want to try and teach it to everybody. You practice this stuff, it will make it easier to actually express what you truly feel. So the way that the outside world sees it, like this guy's doing, that I love this.
And the fact that he's so casual with the camera, he just sets it up and stays casual. He eats a banana. He pours himself a cup of coffee. He's doing other things. He's just casually having a conversation with you about this. Again, it makes it feel like you're with a friend. You're not being lectured to.
The tone of that is really nice too. The whole vibe. And that's kind of, we were talking a little bit more. There's so many great ideas or concepts or stories you can have, but having like that, what wrapper of tone you can have on it, it doesn't take a lot of time, but it has like a massive impact on the amount of joy or how effective it is. How many people are going to get this advertisement? How many people are going to get this lesson and enjoy it and learn it and change their lives? Like tone. I love it.
It is amazing what all you can do with it.
You feel like throwing one more in? I got one more I want to throw at you.
Throw one more at me. Let's go.
Like, no one brought out articles. This is just turning to Instagram a night, but like, I'm having a great time. This is fun. This is in the same vein. We'll see what you think of this one.
Accessories you need for fall. Let's get it.
Arquebuses are in this fall. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is the best firearm ever made, but it was the first portable shoulder arm firearm, so you got to respect the OG. Haters will say the need for a stand makes the arquebus impractical. I say the stand makes it look like the gun has a pimp cane. But Cyrus, it takes so long to reload, I'm going to be left vulnerable on the field of battle. That's why you have some of your homies pull up with the pikes. Now you rocking a pike and shot formation. This was the meta strat of the 16th century. Pike and shot formation helped build the Spanish Empire, so it definitely has what it takes to help you pull some pumpkin spice shorties this fall. Arquebuses, well-trained pikemen, and a square formation. You have all three, women will want you, and cavalry will fear you.
Accessory.
Go.
Man, I love seeing just stereotypical influencer, whatever you want to say, video. And then it cuts to someone with just crazy energy. It's something I've seen a lot of, done by a lot of people, but man, it works every time. Just complete opposite energy. Such a drastic change that captures your attention. It really hooks you in. It's almost like right when you're about to scroll off, that's when they set the hook. It's perfect timing.
Timing, that's a good point. I hadn't noticed that part. I like the speaking so much. That feels like similar to like the banana guy, where if you actually just look at the script, there's some convenient elements of it, but there's just so much of none of this connects, none of this has to be here, but the speaking carries it through. Like the first thing he says is this the best weapon? No, it's not. It's like, well, then why are we talking about this? You could have this, for fall, you should have a cannon or a nuclear bomb. Like, why did you pick this? And just flat out like, this isn't the best. I'm just talking about it. And if you said that timidly or with poor speaking skills, it would feel not connected at all. But he's just full going on. I'm excited. Like, why are you excited? This doesn't make sense. You're even calling out specifically, this is not very good. It's not the best. It's not the worst. But like, fuck it. We're along for the ride because you're pumped for some reason.
So that's almost like something that I learned at the Wizard Academy, which was if you're giving a speech and you get a mustard stain on your shirt beforehand while eating, the first thing you do is get up there and say, hey, how's everyone doing? Food's really good tonight, huh? Some of us are better at eating it than others. I spilled on myself. All right, moving on. Let's talk about this. And just bring attention to it, move past it, and everyone will too. If you don't address it, people are going to say, well, why? Oh, does he know that that's there? Does he know there's better options? But addressing it and moving on, everyone stays right with you.
It's interesting in the writing phase, because with the mustard thing, that makes so much sense, but that's unintentional. You're stuck with it and you find a way to recover. It's like, you could have written about anything. You probably spend a lot of time. It's his profession. Like, why did you pick this thing where you're actively saying it's not the best? Oh, but
man, I see that as you set the hook by quickly changing something, and then you have immediately a way to get people to move with you. That is a perfect set it and reel it in. That's all he's doing there.
I love more and more that I'm getting opened up to like how to actually write. How many things that seem like they should be roadblocks or you're stuck with or a dead end if you had written yourself into a corner that you can completely connect through. It's fine. Bridge it, you'll be fine.
One of God, I cannot remember who said it or how exactly they said it. I'm gonna butcher it, but it was something along the lines of how you need to have limitations to create something, and how you're better off when you're forced to do something to make something interesting. When you have just unlimited freedom, you're gonna struggle. But as soon as you lock yourself in to even just some restrictions, like when I was working at the bar, we had only a finite number of bottles. I couldn't play around with everything. But the minute you ask me, hey, out of every whiskey out there, which one do you recommend for me? shit, I've tried hundreds, maybe thousands at this point. Ask me to come up with one, I'm not going to be able to do it. Ask me about coming up with one out of the 100 on the shelf behind me, that's a bit easier. Absolutely, I can manage that.
That's one of my favorite phrases.
One of the other fun activities we did at the Wizard Academy was we all had to write an ad for a bottle of whiskey, but we had to first come up with a random word, write it on a sheet of paper, throw it into a hat, and someone else would get your word, and you'd get someone else's word. So now all of a sudden you have to write an ad including blue wombats or something like that. And my God, they were some of the most entertaining ad reads I've ever heard.
One of the speaking courses I'm doing now is called Ultra Speaking, and I'd like to get you involved in that with me a little bit more as we grab more time. At least half of the training exercises they do are basically that, where you learn to connect non sequiturs together and in different ways. And the whole premise of it is, one, you start to learn more agility, where you actually could connect ideas together. So if you have a bunch of things actually in your domain and you kind of forgot this part or whatever, you can more easily connect it back in. But then also you have this whole safety net feeling of, if you really do screw up speaking and get to a deep end where it makes no sense, you can at least passively look like you're confident that those two things connect and not lose people's confidence and the momentum emotionally before you steer it back into like the correct part of the presentation or the idea you had.
That is really interesting and a really cool skill to practice.
Yeah, it's unexpected. I'm not banging my head on that wall a whole lot, and this is one skill I didn't know existed, where just kind of keeping that momentum up is actually useful. It's not like you're trying to lie to people. Just, okay, yeah. Don't worry, everything's fine. I'm used to things going wrong sometime, and it's still working out okay in the end. Don't worry about that. We're moved on back to the good thing. It's a pretty affordable program, so we could talk about more of that some other time.
Absolutely. I'm very interested to hear how that's going for you when you get deeper into it.
All right. Let's get into our topic of the day before we get to the wrap-up part. But this was fun. Thanks for doing this with me, Ryan.
Oh, man. I've missed this. This was so much fun. And honestly, it was a pretty easy episode to do, just watching stuff and talking about it. This 100% enjoyable.
I'm going to let you in on the Mr. Miyagi reason why I chose this for us. I have a lot of nostalgia for Diggnation. It's great to see them coming back again, and I learned so much seeing them now with all my eyes after this training. But the real reason is I think this is an incredible way to practice the most important speaking skills. When we actually do this, you end up using all three of the major types of speaking. You get some practice on reading scripted. If we ever actually get news articles, there's going to be reading the first paragraph where you have to live on air read a scripted thing. It's an important skill to have, but it's really hard to ever, you need to get a lot of reps in on that before it becomes usable, good enough to be useful. But we can get that in from doing this exercise. Second, you get a little practice with improv, because, okay, I know the general idea, but I don't have any time to practice like putting it together as either presenter or the reactor. You have a lot of immediate in live on air improv practice. And then you also get the practice of doing a full conversation, which is not just useful in life, but it's actually a good way of practicing your writing. We have a topic, but I'm just going to talk about with my friend and try to explore all those edges with it. So this is a really great Mr. Miyagi way to practice all of the important speaking skills together.
Yeah, I honestly loved it and would be happy to do more of it soon.
Excellent. Then the main topic I wanted to get today was active consumption. This is something that's been coming up a lot lately. We're finding really great ways to learn better and better. And this one is watching things can be mindless. You hear of doom scrolling. A lot of like the advice you'll get in all these courses is, get off social media, stop wasting time watching Netflix and all these other things. But that's just a beginner level of the advice. The real advice is you need to do active consumption. One of the biggest learnings I ever have is when I'm watching something that someone else has created. even if it's full on entertainment. But you do it actively. You have the training first, so you've already looked through these things. What kind of things do I want to know? If you're a filmographer, okay, learn about your camera angles and color theory and these kind of things. If you're a writer, learn about structures and hooks and these kind of things. And then when you're watching Instagram or a movie or listening to a podcast, be looking for those things and thinking about that. Pause and reflect on it. And seeing the examples from masters, it multiplies it by 10, the amount of learning you get from the original lesson.
So one little thing that I'll add to that, a lot of times I will be doom scrolling and just wasting time, especially if I just got off a long shift or something. Sure, I'm doing that. But half the time I'm flipping through videos, watching not even half of them. And then every now and then one will catch me, like that bananas one, and I'll watch the whole thing. And afterwards, I'll realize it and go, all right, let's watch again. What made me like this? Why did I stop on this one? What made it good? There's so much crap out there on the internet at this point. Just having that natural filter of your attention span to figure out what works is the best way of doing it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm glad we're both feeling the same thing. An extra layer that adds even more into it is sometimes it goes beyond just good or bad, but what's for you. A lot of people talk about having like good taste, and sometimes having just good taste is like the value you can add to like what you are telling people or showing people, even if you're not a very skilled creator yourself. But having good taste is actually not an accurate explanation. It's having your taste really refined. So when you're watching through things and you have this kind of active consumption going on, you get better at realizing, well, I like this a lot. Why do I like this? You start to hone in better on exactly what is the purest version of what is. That helps you discover if you're someone that's watching this episode and you're just trying to put together a channel, trying to get ready to like have a courage to make the leap and make your first video, this will help you so much because you'll have a much clearer idea of what exactly is your niche. What exactly do you want to make? Also collecting people up, man, like of everything I've seen, I really, really love the way this person does it. Like, okay, well, you could make your first episode completely imitating his style. Like his structure, his speech, learn everything by just, using him as a skeleton. So you're excited enough to take the leap, but also you have a little bit more of a, an assist to get the first one out.
So this is a little bit of a jump and a shift, but you mentioned how finding your taste, and there's different styles of videos that will be to your taste. Do you think that eventually we'll have a breakdown of, oh, this is this style of video and this is this style, more so than we already do, like having documentary versus whatever? We'll jump into more, oh, this is someone talking in this style of speaking on this subject that's relevant to you and this camera angle. Was it first person or third person?
I think like the question you ask is like the right intent. That's something that we want to yearn towards and strive for and get as much as possible. But I firmly believe that that's not a achievable destination we could ever reach. I spend a lot of time on Epidemic Sound listening to different background music to fit with my things. In particular, like which was it? I'll come back to it. Maybe it was the Banana Guy, where you can see me jamming out. Like there is a style of video background music that I like more than most pop music. It's actually one of the reasons what first drew me into wanting to make content, just because I love that vibe so fucking much. But when I go through it, the words just don't really click well. I'll put something in and like, oh, I want something inspirational, and half the things completely don't connect with my vision of the
know
motion.
Exactly what you're talking about. I've been there many times.
And the reverse happens too. You mentioned that, for movies and shoes, we have these clear, good genres. Like I would say, I don't feel like they're sufficient. They don't connect that to me much. I always remember the story of when I was flying back from Israel, fired up about America, fired about football. And I was like, I just wish there was a freaking genre of nothing but football. And there isn't. But on that plane, there was. I was scrolling through the list and it was like, do you want comedies, romance, or football? I'm like, fuck yeah. And I just lived 16 hours of American football movies on the way back.
God.
And so just like we're doing with the AI, I think we can naturally more easily create these niche content categories for each individual person. So whatever twist or version or mix that, maybe only 30 people in the whole world really feel, I think we'll be able to make those categorizations now. And
interesting.
That'll be exciting.
That might be the best use for AI that I've heard in a while, is watch everything on the internet and give us accurate filters to put on it to find exactly what we're looking for.
In a very huge way, that is one of the most valuable things that content creators give to their audience. I know all these things, and I know you're sort of interested in this, but you really wish it was like this. I'm going to create the first twist in the world that actually fits like that. Like Lucas Rockwood, his hippie yoga stuff, where it's like, nah, it's all science-based. I don't care about that crap. Here's the stuff that works. You're a science bro. I'm a science bro. This shit works. That stuff's weird. Don't worry about it. Here's the good stuff. I'm like, thank you for making that new genre for
me. That is fun. I really am looking forward to that now.
Is there anything in particular that you've consumed lately where, it wasn't just completely relaxed, that you're actually thinking and analyzing, reflecting on some of this stuff similar to what you've done?
Kind of. So I am a big fan of the original Top Gear, Grand Tour, whichever you'd like to call it by now. And they recently had their very last episode. They're dismantling the team. Sad to see them go, but glad it was on their own terms. And part of it was they ended at their first special where they kind of began. And I went back and watched the first one, and it's been, God, I probably wouldn't even remember if I saw it when it first came out. I was that young. But going back and watching them when the cameras are shaky, they're still very rough. The footage is not nearly as well produced, not as high definition. But there's still clear-cut ideas. They're still very good at speaking, but not quite where they were. It was so interesting to compare the two, while having the direct comparison of them going to the same spot. It's very fun to see.
Does that connect with your work in any way?
Mostly just in motivation of seeing how much they improved, and also knowing I think they were like 40, 50 maybe at the time when that first one came out. Yeah. So I've got some time to get to where they are still.
That's one of the most relieving and exciting parts of this is starting with YouTube. All the pressure is everybody's 20, everyone has to be 20, appealing to 13-year-old kids, and then realizing that with writing, just the older you get, the better you get at it. So there isn't as much the time clock pressure, and you can enjoy it. Like you'll be in your 70s, and you could still be even better than anyone's ever been before.
It truly is just a muscle. You gotta keep working it and trust that we'll get better.
Nice.
Okay, how about you? Is there any content you lately have enjoyed for analytical watching?
Well, yeah. I've been making this like my formal process. So after my meeting with Charlie, he's like, okay, one of the big points of a coach is to be your accountability pressure. And it's like, pick a dateline. And I said, okay, every 2 weeks, I'll have a video out. And I picked that because I want to have 1 week off to have like the freedom or breathing room to like do exploration. And that has paid off so huge. I'm actively looking at videos that are either in my genre, people are doing the same stuff that I'm doing, only they're better at it, they've been doing longer, or it's just I watch it and they're like, man, I really like that. And I sit down and go, why do I like it so much? And analyze it, whether it's their structure, their speaking, their writing, or their topic or choice or whatever. And it's just been a massive explosion of knowledge I've gotten from that. This is where like my writing, at least feeling of my writing skill has just gone exponential, because I get a little hint, and then I watch these things, and I go, oh, I see what they're doing there. I can take that. And there's nothing wrong with this. I'm going to basically full on copy that and then copy somebody else and then weld them together so I get a new blend that hasn't existed before. But I'm not wasting the opportunity to learn from people who've already done great work in this stuff. And plus, it's also connecting with me with more people in the space who are doing great stuff. Maybe people that I might want to talk to someday, or their audience that I might want to talk to. I'm trying to think of, okay, just to throw out a name, because I'm trying to get things more concrete instead of just being abstract all the time. There was one guy that Charlie recommended called Briny Heart, and a lot of his stuff has turned out to be really good. He does a much more rapid fire, highly edited speaking style than I would want to do, but the format is really heavy on the content. He doesn't show his face. It's almost all just photos, which is a certain amount of financial budget you need to have a team to do. But it is heavily written on the writing and the ideas instead of just high entertainment and high, video quality. And that means a lot to me, to see somebody succeed based on the writing.
That's great to see. Again, writing is just so powerful when you get it right.
Feeling that more. I was thinking that probably next time I'd like to schedule another writing practice with us together, because that was so good. And together, I think we both complement learning other things so well that I'm looking forward to doing that together.
So one of the things I would love to throw in with that too is, I know I talked with you about this, but I took a paragraph and threw it into ChatGPT and told it to critique it in the style of Anthony Bourdain. And my God, it was some of the most, it wasn't just like broad advice, it was specific. Like, oh, in this sentence, you could twist it this way so that way it sounds more like his writing style. I'd love to find an author who's similar in style, or a writer similar in style to what you're aiming at, throw it into ChatGPT with the right prompt, and let's see how that gives us advice.
Yeah, that's a tool we got to dive more deeply into.
After one of our last talks with Corey, it's amazing how much he knows about those AIs and how to get them to give you the right advice, whether it's what people search for on Google versus more applicable advice like from ChatGPT or Gemini, I think was the other one he used.
Yep.
Definitely need to utilize those more.
Yeah, basically anything that Corey says is a good advice to spend more time on. In the meantime, you want to move on to questions?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I know that you are really busy with your work. We haven't seen you in a little while. But can you just think, and just get a little more tangible stuff, completely off the rails, not even related to creating, just one thing that was surprising or taught you something that you've had in your work?
Oh. So this is, I'm the assistant manager for a liquor store now, and it's a great job. I love it. Great team there, but it's a very different crowd than I'm used to for trying to manage people or work with people even. Like when I was working the bar at Scissors and Scotch, it was most of the time just me up at the bar and helping run the schedule for predominantly young women cutting hair back there. Well, this time it is mostly older guys. And nothing wrong with that. A lot of them are retired and they're just doing this as a job to have something to do, talk to people. Great. But it's a very different person to try and lead. I'm very much a lead from the front type of guy. And me just being younger, there's things where like I'll bend over, pick up a bunch of like 2 cases of beer and move them by hand, where I wouldn't want them to do that. So it's all right, how can I lead you, but still do it in a way where you're going to do it with like a push cart or something, so that way it's better for you, because God, I don't want you slipping a disc on the job. That's the last thing I want. So that has been a very, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's a new bridge for me to have to cross and think about before I make a decision.
That's pretty exciting.
In terms of something more, I'm sorry, what was the question? Was it something confusing?
Oh, no, just something that you had learned or that was positive that you've gotten from your new job. Surprising or learned?
I'm also trying to learn about wine. My goal for 2025 is I want to complete at least one level of the W set and work towards becoming a wine sommelier.
Oh.
We'll see. It's an ambitious goal, but why not?
Love it, man. That was really good. The stuff that I'm trying to learn, I see so much of how to teach people through things that aren't directly there. So you have to do this kind of indirect teaching, which is kind of like how you'd have to indirect learn. Maybe it's not the way that you would do it, but you're thinking about what would be right for them and trying to imply it, create it, nudge it that way.
All right. So I've got a question for you.
Hell yeah.
I know you said your goal is to get out a video every 2 weeks. Gives you some time to do some active watching, listening, whatever you'd like to for different content forms. Have you thought about exploring any other forms of content other than video? Would you be looking to do anything like, let's just put out a voice recording, I don't even know what other form of content you could do at this point, because I'm so much down one rabbit hole.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. I definitely think there's so much value in trying multiple forms of content and more format and experiment as much as possible. The metaphor that Ollie had was, entrepreneurship is the same as content creation, where you can't know where the target is. It's not like you see the target, you're just trying to get more accurate at hitting. It's like just swinging a machine gun around in the dark, where you have to wait till you hear the clang of metal and knowing, okay, it was over that direction. So the more you actually can swing your range, the more likely you actually are going to start hitting some target out there. And to answer your question, the coaching course that I started just yesterday is completely focused on writing content. All of his lessons are how to become a content creator, how to get your first, viewers, but it's all about just written, blogging, on X, all these other things. So that's making me think about it a lot too. I have a new type of video content that I was thinking of that I desperately want to try because I'm so excited about that idea, and it's so different that it'll tell me if I'm getting close, warmer or colder. But jumping to writing for a while too, I think is also really good. I kind of think if I can, I'd like to do an off and off where 1 week is making my video and the other week off is doing my research and doing some writing, because I think that can be done quicker. And the faster rep you get in of making writing content, the faster you build the core skill.
So, follow-up question to that. Personally, I would think writing just for practicing writing like a script would be easier if it's an audio-only thing. Where if you're writing for a video script, you're also trying to plan out shots. That's a very another form of writing, having to plan out what do I want in the background, how do I want this working while I'm talking.
So far, I've been leaning on the side of video where it is pretty much just a audio recording that just has your face on it. That's kind of what I was talking about, Briny Hart. He put some photos on there. There's other examples where the guy just stands and talks, and some of those still have 2 million, 5 million views. Because you're right, I do want to focus on the message and the delivery right now, instead of getting bogged into visuals, which I could hire someone else to do, and I think has a lot of value, but has a low ceiling to how much it can add.
I mean, I still love that video that you made where you were walking around downtown and ended it by putting your hand out on the globe. And
Thanks, man.
Great cinematography there.
I enjoyed that a lot. That's actually going to be really related to what I'm going to try for my next format. Like, if you don't mind, the last things I'm reading are really content dense. Like, here's a deep concept to try to explain it as quickly, but as to the end as possible. And now I'm like looking like, how can I use pop media or familiar things that already like will make this concept that you already understand because you've seen it somewhere in your life already. And then I got this thinking, what if it was more of just a vibe piece? Especially since I see this kind of vibe type content in a lot of other places, but it'd be even more critical for the type of things that I'm doing. Because a lot of what I'm doing, no one can teach you this. Otherwise, you would already have been taught it. It's kind of thing where we can give you the questions, but the answer is going to be so unique to every single person that unless I sit in a room with you, I can't get the answer. And so we're doing this difficult stuff of trying to find ways to help you figure it out for yourself. And to figure that out, you need time. And you can't just go bam, 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 bam. You're not giving them any time to think. So it'd be more of like a vibe piece where, 2-3 minutes long, kind of short. And we're talking about the value of significance. Well, here's the general idea of what it is. And then have just visuals or background music playing for 60 seconds while they just kind of ponder and think about it. And then, well, here's some, movie examples. And you're kind of watching that. And I'm not adding new information. You're just kind of diving into the vibe of, well, how much do I connect with that? Or how much do I recoil against it? And have the time be part of the process instead of idea every second.
That's a great way of looking at it. I'm looking forward to see what you do with this. I truly am.
Yeah, I'll show you. But keep pushing me. I'll keep pushing you. Exploring more and more range of content is super important. We're both in the stage before we need to lock down on one thing. Keep spreading that gunfire around.
Unfortunately, I am a little locked down right now. My phone is about out of storage. I need to get a new one before I can record more videos. So that's fine. I'm going to focus on my writing, try and get scripts ready for season 3. Still a long way away, but work is good.
All right, so let's wrap up. I would love if anybody could give us some questions, get a little more idea of what people would like us to see, because connecting with people's interests is the best part of this. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm using X right now, mostly because it's actually X.com, and XCOM was one of the best video games ever made. So I actually like the renaming. I'm using 808 Ethan. If you see it, you can go right there. DM me anything about the podcast. Secret, no one else has to know what it is, but we'll try to incorporate your ideas or questions into it. Before we go, I want to leave us with one last thing for us to flying off with.
Is the official whiskey of the
Our
Minnesota
friend Ryan
Award-winning
is wearing this jersey for a reason.
Hosted an exciting sweepstakes, offering one lucky winner the ultimate prize in baseball, throwing out a ceremonial pitch.
Excited and a little nervous. Slowly becoming a little more real again.
Who is this fucker?
Aren't taking too much for the pitch. Brand new jersey even. I don't know. I think I got to keep the Keeper's Heart logo out though.
Out of countless entries, Ryan emerged as the lucky winner, securing his spot. All right, Ryan, it's your pitch.
Little wide on my part. At least I got the distance. Oh, I get to meet Brian Nation.
Yeah. How's it
Pleasure
going?
to meet you.
You too. Fantastic experience, is it?
I'm still shocked I get to meet you even. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, brilliant. So you're a whiskey sommelier?
Yes, sir.
So what's your favorite whiskey?
Right now, Keepers.
Fuck yeah. On point, Ryan. You're a fucking superstar. I love it.
Man, it was such an amazing day.
Man, great talking with you, Ryan. I'm glad to have you back. Hopefully we can set up some time again in the next 2 weeks, and let me know when we can. We'll make some room for it.
Looking forward to it already. It's been an absolute pleasure. Good to be back.
Love y'all. Thanks so much.